Chapter 4. The Real Reason for the War. Greed, not glory. Twist, the true cause of the Trojan War wasn't love or honor. It was resources and the fight for dominance in the Mediterranean. Rich version. While the mythological narrative of the Trojan War is driven by passion, love, and personal vengeance, whether it's Helen's beauty or Achilles' rage, the real reason for the war is far more grounded in political and economic power. The Trojan War was not a battle for honor or a romanticized contest of gods and mortals. It was a struggle for control of vital resources, territory, and trade routes that determined who would dominate the Mediterranean world. At the heart of the conflict is the strategic location of Troy, which stood at the gateway between the Aegean Sea and the Black Sea. Control over Troy meant control over the bustling trade routes that linked the east to the west. These were not just lifelines for commerce. They were lifelines for empire building. Whoever controlled these routes would be able to amass wealth, power, and influence in the ancient world. It's no coincidence that the Greeks, with their growing imperial ambitions, would set their sights on Troy, whose wealth was tied directly to its access to these critical passages. While the Greeks and Trojans were embroiled in personal vendettas, the economic stakes of the war went largely unnoticed by most of the soldiers and civilians. To them, it was about love, pride, and honor, but the war was ultimately a battle between two great powers fighting to assert dominance. The Trojans, proud of their city's wealth and its position as a trading hub, stood in defiance of the Greek forces who sought to control the Mediterranean's commercial lifeblood. Drama. Paris's affair with Helen is just the surface. The war is a cover-up for political maneuvering and the control of vital trade routes. Paris, the Trojan prince, may have stolen Helen from her husband Menelaus, but the true stakes of this war go far beyond a single woman. In truth, Paris' actions are merely the spark that ignites a much larger conflict. Paris's affair with Helen is the excuse the Greeks need to justify their military campaign, but in reality, the fight for control of the Mediterranean world is what drives the war. King Priam of Troy is a wise ruler, but his power is not absolute. While he focuses on the defense of his kingdom, his grasp on the wealth and influence of Troy remains fragile. His efforts to secure alliances with other powerful kingdoms are a constant balancing act, one that the Greeks know they can disrupt. Meanwhile, Agamemnon, the Greek king, is less interested in a personal vendetta against Troy than he is in seizing power. He is the driving force behind the Greek coalition, using Helen's abduction as a pretext to launch an invasion of Troy. His true motive is to weaken Troy and solidify his own dominance over the surrounding kingdoms. His arrogance hides his deeper ambitions, to expand his empire by any means necessary. This political maneuvering is part of a larger web of economic interests. The Greeks are united by a shared goal, control of the Aegean, and by extension, dominance over the Black Sea's vital trade routes. The Trojan economy, thriving from trade and the control of these strategic routes, presents a direct challenge to Greek supremacy. The war, therefore, becomes a way to both weaken and subjugate a prosperous rival. The deeper motivation, the Greek Empire's expanding reach. At this point, the narrative takes a more strategic turn, focusing on how Greek rulers like Agamemnon and Menelaus, two powerful kings with expanding ambitions, are using the war as a way to extend their reach. Menelaus, though personally wounded by the loss of his wife, is part of a larger Greek royal network that is becoming increasingly intertwined with trade, resources, and conquest. The loss of Troy would mean the loss of an entire supply chain that the Greeks had relied on for decades. Agamemnon, the larger-than-life leader of the Greek forces, knows that controlling Troy's wealth would give him leverage over the rest of the Mediterranean. This is not just about revenge for Helen, it is about gaining control over the rich resources of the East, including grain, luxury goods, and precious metals. In fact, Agamemnon's entire military campaign is part of his greater ambitions to bring all of the Mediterranean world under his rule. This makes the war a theater of power, one that involves far more than just the personal struggles of a few men. The Greek kings see Troy as a vital link in their plans for dominance, and Helen's abduction is a convenient excuse to launch an attack. The Trojans, defenders of their homeland or pawns in a larger game, For the Trojans, the war is about survival, not glory. King Priam, who loves his city and its prosperity, must rally his people to defend